that sum to 180 degrees and like linear pairs, they can share a vertex on a straight angle. Or, this is what makes them different, they can be separate. So they're angles that sum to 180 degrees. They can share a vertex on a straight angle, or they can be separate angles. So linear pair of angles, if we go back to the last vocab, those are also supplementary angles. They can be the same. They sum to 180. That's the requirement for supplementary angles. So linear pairs, they do sum to 180. So they're also supplementary. So a supplementary angles can also look like linear pairs. So if I did 120 degrees and 60 degrees, those are also supplementary. What makes supplementary different from linear is I could also have separate angles. So I could have, an angle here that's 140 degrees and an angle over here that's 40 degrees. When I sum these two together, 140 plus 40 is 180 degrees. So these are also supplementary. They're just not connected. So once again, supplementary can be connected or separate. Doesn't matter. They still have to add up to 180 degrees. But a linear pair of angles must be connected and share a vertex to equal 180 degrees. You will have to know the difference and be able to explain it. The next one is complementary angles. So complementary angles are angles that sum to 90 degrees. Okay? So they're angles that sum to 90 degrees. They can share a vertex or be separate. So they're angles that sum to 90 degrees. They can share a vertex or be separate. So an example would be, like on our last page of the notes, if I have a right angle here, if I split that off into two separate angles, if I make this 40 degrees and this 50 degrees, these two angles are complementary. A way that I try and remember the difference between supplementary and complementary is for complementary angles, they add up to 90 degrees, which is a right angle. So it is always right to complement somebody. So right angles are complementary angles if they add up to 90. They could also be separate angles. I could have an angle here that's 30 degrees and an angle here that's 60 degrees. 30 plus 60 is 90. So those would also be complementary angles. The very last vocab word that you'll need is vertical angles. So vertical angles are angles that are opposite or across from each other. That share a vertex. And are created by two intersecting lines. But an important note is that they are congruent. So they are angles that are opposite or across from each other. They share a vertex and are created by two intersecting lines. They are congruent. Remember, congruent means equal. So an example of what those look like is if I had two intersecting lines here. This point in the middle where they cross is a vertex. Opposites are vertical angles. So if this is 70 degrees, the angle across from it is 70 degrees. Those are vertical angles. That would mean this one over here is 110 degrees and this one across from it is 110 degrees. Those are vertical. So the two 110 degree angles that I put stars next to, those are vertical angles. I'm going to put smiley faces with the 70 degree angles. Those are across from each other. They share a vertex. They're congruent, so they're vertical angles. So you want to make sure you're using these notes to complete your practice.